So I have my own question about the Thunder.
Oh, let's have
And
it.
this is in light of Scotty Barnes getting injured, might not hit the games minimum. Şengün gets injured, but he is eligible, by the way. Zach Lowe points out for most improved, or should be, because you can play in 62 games. And if those 62 games come before you're deemed to have a season-ending injury, and so you played in 85% of your team games or whatever it was within those 62 games, which he has, you're still eligible. But I say this.
Isn't there something about like the season-ending injury designation means you're not expected to be back until like May 31st or some totally arbitrary, like weird.
And I don't know, like, how do they investigate that? Because if I'm the Rockets and just like, that you're not going to be a playing team this season, I am just going to prioritize the long term and shut Şengün down for the rest of the year.
Get a doctor to say he can't come back till June 1st. Therefore, he's out for, it's a season ender, so he can be considered for that award. I don't know. The rule's stupid. This is a stupid rule.
I would agree. I wasn't too against it at first, and now I'm just like, I've completely kind of flip-flopped on it. But
we don't need it.
I don't think you need to use those. Oh, well, look, Şengün might not be eligible or is barely eligible, and Scotty Barnes might not be eligible. I'm breaking from what would be my second-year players can't win this award consideration. Do the Oklahoma City Thunder have the NBA's, if you're throwing criteria out the window, do the Oklahoma City Thunder, or my criteria of second-year players, do the Oklahoma City Thunder have the NBA's most improved player?
So it kind of comes down to, I guess there's a two-pronged thing we got to look at. The first is, when we did our most improved, I think we sort of, I don't know if I just like steamrolled it, but I kind of like the idea, and this went to Barnes, who was our pick until he got hurt, and Kobe White, who I think you cornered me and I made him my new winner. I like the idea of guys that like where improved means like something's different, not just more minutes, not just more points, not just like more volume of like the same kind of thing, not more quantity, but like qualitatively they're different. So if we're married to that, then we have to ask, is Jaylen Williams doing just more, or is he doing like different and better stuff? So, I mean, I guess I'll start. I think like certainly you could point to the 3-point shooting, just under 45% after just under 36% last year. The volume's not like massively up. He's taking fewer than one more three per game, but the hit rate is like, that's a big time skill jump. All of his other numbers are, his facilitation is up. He's actually rebounding worse. Points are up. We don't really, just going with points per game increase is kind of not the most thoroughly analytical way to analyze improvement. So I guess like, I think you could look at his role and the things that he's being asked to do this year on both ends. Like he's got to guard like tough matchups, a lot of fours, which wasn't necessarily happening last year. So I think if you can get past, if you believe there's enough qualitative improvement, which not to the degree of Barnes, probably not to the degree of Kobe White, then if you cross that threshold, is he quantitatively better? Like, yeah, the numbers are just like, he's just doing more. So I'm here for it. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to say a bad word about Jaylen Williams. I think he's going to make a ton of all-star games, and he's awesome. He scores more points in the fourth quarter than anyone on his team, and his team has SGA. So that's a thing. I don't know if I would give it to him, but I guess like there's not a good argument against him because like he's just better than Kobe White, like, right, objectively. And like, I guess probably he was last year too. I don't know what I think. I think it's a discussion worth having. I don't know if I'm ready to just be like, oh yeah, it's J-Dub, which is off brand for me, but I'm curious what you think, because I know you wanted to talk about this.
He's been so good, and I think he's improved so much to the point that I'm conflicted about I haven't thought this hard about a second-year player winning the award since De'Aaron Fox's sophomore campaign. And so the things you mentioned, is he functionally different? I think he's shouldering a lot more defensive responsibility than he did last year. And I think that's helped Shai Gilgeous-Alexander make some preliminary all-defense teams. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been great defensively, but the way that he is insulated with Lou Dort and J-Dub specifically, and Chet now, of course, too, having that guy behind him. Offensively, not all of just like the per minute or percentage counting stats are up, but this is someone who, the types of shots he's able to hit now, and I mentioned how I would still like them to have a player who has more jiggle and joggle on the ball, and there is more of an abruptness, a suddenness to what Jalen Williams does. the counters he has developed this season, specifically looking in 75 games last year, he made 5 fadeaway jumpers. He has played in 58 games so far this season. He has made 29 fadeaway jumpers, and he's shooting 50% on them. The step back 3 is in his arsenal. Like, it's, you just mentioned you mentioned what he's shooting on threes overall. The step back 3 last year, he shot 50% on step back threes, but he hit 6 of them. He was 6 of 12. This year, that's 75 games. This year, through 58 games, he's hit 19 step back threes already. He's shooting 46.3% on them. You look at the pull-up jumper, and this is still, and I know you've seen this, but this is mind-blowing because now I'm throwing out, this is an entire season. 93 players have taken at least 150 pull-up jumpers. 150 could be arbitrary, but I thought it was 100 felt too low. If you want to use 100, it's only going to change his position by 1. But of 93 players who've taken at least 150 pull-up jumpers, he ranks second in effective field goal percentage, behind only CJ McCollum. This is somewhat, and the other thing here is this year, he has logged 750 plus possessions without Josh Giddey or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the floor. The Thunder have won those minutes, and not handedly, but comfortably. This isn't plus 0.05 points per 100. It's plus 2.2 points per 100. Founded around an elite defense. So the offense hasn't been great. But like J-Dub, when you're looking at the lineup context, is the driving force of, there's Chet Holmgren in there, but they don't have these A-plus passers to have alongside. Like it was Micic before he was traded. It's Case and Wallace now and beforehand. So like he is running the whole show in those units. This is, and he's not going to make one, but this is like a leap from, if you're not going to have him in consideration, I think it speaks more towards how high you were on him as a rookie, which is perfectly fine. But what I'm going to say is we're talking about someone who was a very good rookie to be in top, this was a rookie of the year contender, let's call it, who is now making a jump that I don't even think Paolo Banchero has made. Paolo Banchero made the jump to all-star, but that's about the state of the East. J-Dub has legitimately played for much of this season. Like, if he was in the Eastern Conference, he would make an all-NBA team. And that's the best way that I could frame this for me.
Couple things. I think your points about his mid-range game, that was not nearly as effective last year or prolific as it is this year. And so like part of what was tricky about him is like, as a rookie, he kind of did a lot of stuff really well. So it's like, where is there to improve? That's one. The like self-creation, you cited it. He's last year, 9 out of 10 threes for him were assisted, 90%. This year it's 73.9. So he's added self-created threes. He's added get your own bucket stuff. He's added primary facilitator duties. He's added, I'm guarding 4s now, and anything smaller than that, also no problem. So those are all new skills. So I guess to circle all the way back, like, is he qualitatively different? I think, yeah. Like, I think probably so. I also think he's a better player than Paolo Banchero right now today. Like it was a little bit of a bit when I made him a rookie of the year over Paolo last year. It's like, I don't think Paolo's better than him. I think Jalen Williams is a better player than Paolo today now. And I think going forward, based on the trajectory he's on, there's no reason to believe that's going to flip.
I mean, the one thing I'll say is I would just love,
but he's so good.
I would love to just see if you flip-flopped their teams completely.
Sure.
What they then look like, because I just need, and what I'm saying is and shout out to Jamal Mosley for getting his extension. I think he deserves it, because when you watch Orlando's offense, the spacing actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
They just don't have the personnel to do anything with it.
Right.
And so if you put Paolo on this team, I think, and J-Dub on the Magic, so I'm not ready to go there, but if you said you'd rather have J-Dub long-term because he gives you more positional versatility on defense, and then you don't think the offensive difference is like extant or even like exists at all, then I think I want to give the flowers to Paolo, who I think is just spectacular. But
right, he's a really good player, and like he's made an all-star team. Jalen Williams hasn't. You said it. It's got a lot to do with the conferences, but like, I think one of the best argument against me last year picking Jalen was the situation, and it's like, okay, so because Jalen Williams he's a secondary player, he's a dependent scorer, like he can't run his own show. Paolo has to do all that stuff. Like, I think Jalen's proving this year he can do that. and we have not seen is Paolo flip it and be, and because the knock on him is he's a score first guy that doesn't score efficiently. Like that's still the case. So it's like Paolo has not addressed the knock on him. Williams kind of has. Like this isn't about Paolo versus Jaylen. This is a most improved question. But I think they're somewhat related because like if the knocks, insofar as there were any on Jaylen, like he's addressed them. Like he's just like, what does he do poorly now? Like what are the weaknesses in his game? Like you're pretty hard pressed to come up with like any.
I think if you're looking for like the methodical, if you want someone to run your pick and rolls or like set up the half court as the facilitator there, but it's just the counters he's added from the in between is the best way to. I cited the turnaround. You're talking about like the mid range, the same dip, but. And by the way, I misspoke before. I said if he was in the East, he would have made an All NBA team for me.
No, I
All-Star.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.